No. That basically sums up my school day reaction. That I'm sure this was going to come off horribly in YouTube. YouTube just looked like I was blowing a gun. But school days. I just finished the ending, and that is it. There really are not words to describe how painful that show is. Now, I don't even want to review this. I don't think it deserves the coverage that is going to come from this. All fucking 4 people are going to watch this. No, this is a horrible show. I don't know what let me make this straight to you. This fuck, I'm going to put his name down below probably. He dared me to watch his show, and fucking I hate you, whoever the fuck you are. I don't even know who you are. I made a mistake. That was a horrible show. It starts out innocent enough. It starts out really calm, really kind of, love triangle-esque. They get on this train, and then there's this guy who has a crush on a girl, and this other girl's going to help him out, but then the girl has feelings for him, and everything's kind of like every fucking other, love triangle fucking series. And then what the fuck happens? Everything goes wrong. It's fucking ridiculous. And it can all be traced back to one simple thing. And that is, if you're going to break up with somebody, fucking do it. Don't do this bullshit where you just, leave them on. Because that bitch went crazy. I'm sorry. I've never been so angry at a show. I mean, I'm not one of those people that always want a happy ending in a series. I'm really not. I don't mind disappointing endings. But this was just a clusterfuck. It was just disastrous. This is how not to make a show that I ever want to watch again. I mean, I'm trying to think of good things to say about the show, man. I mean, I came in here thinking, I'll say some bad things, and then I'll say some good things, and it'll even out. But I just finished it, and there's nothing good to say about it. There really isn't. It's horrible. The characters, I can't get over the main character's fucking, he's such a dick to everybody. Why wouldn't you break up with her? I mean, they don't fully explain that. I mean, and the other thing is, all the characters fucking go crazy. Okay, I'm gonna go through it so that what I'm saying is making sense, because at this point, you probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So the show starts out, this guy's getting on a train, and he sees a girl, and he develops a crush on her, and in Japan, I've actually heard of this. It's not uncommon to take pictures of somebody you care about and wait a week, and then that's a good sign if no one else sees it. Well, of course, because this is a clusterfuck piece of crap show off the rails in 2 minutes, this other girl, who we'll call, I forget her name, but she's like the childhood friend who's fucking crazy too, ends up seeing it and decides to help him out. And basically, it proceeds from there where she introduces them and gets them to go on a few dates. And as time goes on, he becomes bored with the relationship. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You get bored, that's fine. But he goes and talks to the childhood friend who kind of introduced them, knows both of them. And he's trying to explain, hey, I'm kind of bored with this. And it's not living up to my expectations. And basically she proceeds to do the opposite of good advice, which is basically, come over to we'll meet up on the roof in the middle of the night and we'll make out and fool around, and then that will teach you how to deal with your girlfriend. And that's exactly what ends up happening, basically, is he proceeds to, hey, at least the character's simplistic. Some characters get so complicated it's hard to figure out, but this guy just wants to get laid. So he decides, fuck, I'm not going to get laid with my girlfriend. I'll just fuck her. But he doesn't tell his girlfriend that he's breaking up. It could have been this easy. It could have been like, hey, things just aren't working out. That could have saved the entire rest of the series. At that point, when this is going on, it just goes off a cliff. Because his former girlfriend just fucking goes crazy. Just starts fucking ridiculous. She starts talking to a phone when it's dead. Starts leaving messages that aren't getting through. Basically, the phone's saying, "Hey, you've been, deleted. You're not allowed to call this phone." And she just keeps calling. She keeps looking at knives. I mean, I thought she was gonna off herself. But anyway, what ends up happening is the other girl, the one that introduced them, he doesn't necessarily get bored with her. He just ends up fucking other women. Eventually, he turns into a pimp. He ends up fucking like 12. I don't know. A lot of women in the series. I mean, it's basically, if you're a girl in the series, you end up getting fucked by this guy. And I mean, like everybody except for the. Anyway, and. Basically, what happens after that is everything seems like it's, okay, so that one girl's fucked over, but at least the series can figure itself out, what ends up happening is the girl that introduced them, basically, she says that she's pregnant. Well, this freaks him out. This freaks everybody else out. Everybody who was sleeping with him basically was like, that guy doesn't play right. He's getting people pregnant now. Well, maybe we should stay away. Respectable. Well, the guy wants to get laid again. His character's really simplistic. And in a way, it's beautifully simplistic. That it's something you don't usually see in anime. And he was wandering around and he runs into his old girlfriend. Well, his old girlfriend's still obsessed over him and doesn't fully understand that they broke up, I don't think. They don't fully make it clear that it got through. So what ends up happening is they end up basically getting back together. And I'm like, okay, thank God. Okay, so now all we got to do is deal with the pregnancy and we'll be fine and the series is going to write itself. We're going to have a happy ending. Oh, thank God. Jesus is with us. It was like a come to Jesus moment. Sorry, not trying to get over religious. But then what the fuck happens? Of course what happens. They end up telling the person that introduced them that they were getting back together. She takes it poorly, to say the least. And they basically give her instructions to a hospital. Now, you don't know at the time which hospital it is. From what I understand, they assume that, or the childhood friend, or the girl who introduced them assumes that it's an abortion clinic. It later turns out that it's an ultragram, or whatever they're called, where they look at the baby. But she takes it wrong, and she basically ends up coming over for tea. Or they end up having tea, him and the girl that he impregnated, allegedly. And, it's probably one of the worst moments in anime, in my opinion. But then again, you could say he had it coming. I don't want to venture morality into anime. Once you start doing that, you end up Xing out a lot of things. Anyway, I don't want to cross into that line. But the point is that she just ends up. Okay, so they're getting tea, right? She goes into the other room to get tea. You hear the pot boiling. And what ends up happening, you can watch this on YouTube. It's all over the place. Just type in like school days ending and you'll see what I'm saying. It actually got banned in some places from what I understand. But the guy gets a text and it's like, I'm sorry. And then ... goodbye. And what ends up happening, the lady comes in, stabs him with a knife. Right in the chest. And then proceeds to kill him. It's one of those deaths that is striking because there's not any other deaths beforehand. It's the first kill, which is always, the one that's going to get people. And it comes so late in the series and it's so shocking that it lives on in my memory even though I want to forget it. And, I just can't believe that happened. I just, when that happened, I turned off the computer and I just left. I was like, oh, my day is ruined now. And it was. I had a bad day yesterday. And then today I finished the rest of the series because I'm a trooper and I'm going to do what I say. And I ended up watching what happens after that. And what ends up happening after that, I'm going to ruin the series for you because you should not watch this. And what ends up happening after that is the ex-girlfriend who's now his girlfriend, you follow? Yeah, the original girl, the one that he met on the bus or train, ends up coming over. They were planning a big trip on this boat and finds him dead. Now, I assume she had offed herself. But the other girl, the one that introduced them, receives a phone call. And I thought maybe they were going to... The series took so many right and left turns that I assumed that maybe it was a ghost. I don't know. You know, I was like, this is not that fucking out of the ordinary for this show. But nope, anyway, they end up... The call basically says, meet me at the roof of the school. That's where they'd always show up to make out and stuff. So they go up there. Both of them are there. But it's not the guy. It's both, his original girlfriend and the girl that introduced them. And they're standing there. And then there's a bag. Kind of to the side, but kind of in the middle. And what proceeds to happen is they talk for a little bit. And then they end up getting into this fight. But what first happens is the girl who introduced them asks what's in the bag. And the other one says, oh, it's the guy, says, you can take a look. Well, she goes over and she takes a look, and it's the guy's head. Well, this freaks her out. But it sure as fuck freaked me out too, why the fuck is there just a head? You didn't cut off the head, And what ends up happening is she, in the meantime, the original girlfriend ends up stabbing her, cutting her open. Now remember, she claimed to have a baby, and probably the most memorable lines from the series occurred just at that moment, which is, I knew nothing lived inside you, or something of that effect, and it's just like, ah. So both of them are dead, and the final scene was actually cut in Japan because a similar murder occurred, and that is the head, the ex-lovers, or the boy's head who got cut off in the love triangle, and his original girlfriend are on that boat, the cruise that they promised, and they're just laying in the front of the boat, sailing away. It is one of the most painful, most mind-numbing series I've ever watched, and anybody who recommends this series should be shot. No, there's just no words to describe this series. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Sean, you tell me not to watch it, I guess I'm going to watch it. No, you should really not watch this one. There's nothing redeeming about it. The dialogue's not worth it. The animation... Actually, I will say, the one good thing about the series is when it was made, the animation was fairly decent. Yeah, I'll say that. The company, I think, is TMA or something like that. And I might have gotten the name wrong. Yeah. I wish I hadn't thrown that gun down, because now I'm going to have to go look for some rope and a tall tree to hang myself. I mean, it is not worth it, you guys. It's a downer. What else to say about the series? The one thing I will say about the show is it definitely has a reputation. It's like, I remember I went to SecureCon and people talked about this. They referenced the show. I mean, and it was always like one of those shows where they'd be like, school days, And it was almost like, have you ever been to a Vietnam vets party thing? What my uncle's a Vietnam vet, and it was kind of similar to that, where they would retell war stories and stuff, and they'd be like, do you remember, Saigon or something, someplace in Vietnam, and be like, yeah, and it's like these, good memories and terrible memories, but, it was just instant referencing, and it was kind of like that. I mean, I'm not comparing these two directly. I'm just saying that the reactions to saying the name seemed more similar than they should have. Anyway, subscribe, comment, rate.